Right, I'm gonna do just laying in the figure right now. Kind of just playing with shapes. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. For the most part, I'm kind of just thinking in my head, just get some down on the paper, kind of fill up that gray, kind of the grayish tone. I don't want any white on the paper right now. And again, I'm just kind of dealing with the square shape of the body. Still don't know what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be some creature of some kind, filling in the face. Um, I'm gonna give him a hat, kind of a Japanese rice hat, or a Chinese rice hat, forgive me. I don't know which it is. I'm gonna put in the teeth. I want to make his chest kind of have like a teeth in it, basically, like it's opening like a mouth. Going into the eyes with kind of a darker tone. I'm staying totally grayscale on this. Um, Going into the eyes, pulling out some lighter shapes. Putting in like the shadow from the hat. I'm putting the dark of the inside of the mouth, if he has a mouth on in his chest cavity. I'm putting some armor, just to kind of give him some character. He's got swords in his back, but dealing with that. Flipping it to change, to kind of check myself. When you stare at these way too long, you kind of lose sight of things, so the best way to look at it with a fresh eye is to flip it, kind of invert it. It's really easy to do that. You just go to one moment. I put a dot up there to check the eye. I'm sorry. I put a dot up there for my color palette, really. I should put a black one, but I didn't. I must have been doing something else. Must have been lazy. I'm kind of just evening out shapes, going back into the eye, putting more detail into the eye. The eyeball is going to be round, so it's pushed into the head though, like a regular skull. Anything anatomical I'm getting from a human, really. This is just human anatomy. I'm stretching out. Going back into the teeth more. Really just going into the darks because they're rolling. The teeth on a regular mouth is a cylinder, and that's kind of the shape I want it to look like here. Going back and shaping out the legs again. I want the whole profile to read pretty well. I'm going to the arm there. I'm not too happy with it. I'm still trying to figure it out. Putting a little... The armor on his shoulder is going to be round. It's going to be cylinder shaped. It's going to be half a cylinder. So it's going to roll into light. I wanted to make that clear. Going to the other arm. Doing the same thing to the other shoulder pad. Trying to make it seem like a round cylinder shape on his arm. Continue to mess with the contour. Contour is the outer shape. The outer profile of the whole figure. I flip it again because I just keep, again you lose sight of things. Going back to the leg. I'm changing the position of the leg because I wasn't happy with it. I wanted to make him seem like he was walking forward, maybe. I wanted to make him also as if he was in water. Putting in some little highlights on the top portion of his teeth because the light is coming from above. Continuing to mess around with the teeth here, trying to render more, trying to sharpen out shapes that pop out to me as incorrect, trying to kind of correct them. Continuing to go to each tooth and try to shape it out correctly. Putting more darks in the mouth, selecting a darker tone. Still all black and white. This is also putting in more or less shark teeth. I like to put in a lot of them because it makes him feel like he's just gonna chew you up instead of putting larger teeth. Pulling out more white, almost completely white, on the top portion of his kind of mouth or whatever you call it there. I zoom and I go back and I zoom every time. I'm putting some highlights into his hat. And then I'm grabbing the lasso tool and I'm trying to shape that out more mechanically there, more like a machine did it. I wanted a very straight edge. So you can do that with a lasso tool. That's a really great tool to use. Continuing to fiddle with things like the shape, making the legs thinner sometimes. Continue to go into the leg. I'm going back to the mouth. The way I usually work is I work from one spot until I'm bored of looking at that spot, and then I'll change the spot I'm working on. I just find it better that way, for me personally, because I don't like staring at one thing too much. I'm going back in that shoulder pad, putting a few more darks there. Going into the arm. Trying to shape out the forearm there. You know, a skinny forearm. I'm trying to figure out how skinny. Continuing to go into the shoulder. I don't know if I want to make that a lighter shape to make that kind of recede into space to kind of go back. Now I'm trying to figure out his hand, how he'd be wrapping his hand around the sword. I'd have to move the position of his fingers if it was to work. At least the way I put down that other stroke. Continuing to fiddle with his hand, putting a big handle there, changing the size of it. I'm slowly figuring it out. I'm not sure exactly what kind of handle I want. Just continuing to do this. I use a lasso tool again to pull out a shape. It's a decent shape. I zoom and I constantly zoom and I unzoom constantly. Going back, putting the lasso tool on that sword. Continuing. Still trying to fill out the shape of the forearm, fiddling with the leg, because I started with the leg as just a gesture, you know. I just put down strokes to see the positioning, but then I actually have to go in and figure out what it is and how it's twisting. I'm putting in some human anatomy there, the biceps femoris is in the back, you know, just parts of the quad, because it's still going to have human anatomy, or more or less, or animal anatomy. Going into the other side of the leg. The whole time I'm thinking about how the whole image is going to read, you know, overall. You know, it's kind of hard. When you put down a shape, you got to see how it complements the entire picture, or it's going to be really strange. So I'm going to darken in the kind of the ground, or the kind of water ground, whatever that is. And I'm moving things around with layers. I'm actually going to change the value of the entire picture. I'm actually going to up the contrast. So I don't have to go back and darken everything later. I'm going to up the contrast of the whole picture. I added another layer with a gradation, and I wanted a slow gradation to come down over the figure. So gradation is the movement of, the gradual from dark to light. So that's going to be coming down from the ceiling and then from the floor. Kind of gives it kind of makes the figure pop. Going back to this hand, I remember being unhappy with this hand. So I'm going to have to go in there. I have to zoom in mentally as well. I have to zoom in and just picture that only. I have to picture that I'm only working on that hand. Because that's a big part about it. You put down a blotch, you put down indications, and you have to zoom in on each individual item to really figure it out. Seeing how the fingernail would work out, you know, how the handle would work. I'm just kind of indicating it again. And then at that point, I'm looking over here at this section of the teeth. It just bothers me. when I upped the contrast, it kind of changed my values around, so it's making it look kind of strange. Zooming out, going in, zooming out, going back into the teeth, trying to shape each one out again, but not totally over again, just trying to fix what I didn't fix before. Big blotch that went through there is really bugging me, so trying to clean it up. I feel like a dentist. Each one's gonna have a slight curvature because the light's hitting from the top, so it's still gonna catch some light on that bottom row as it's rolling underneath into the dark. Continuing to toy with each one. Alright, and I'm continuing to feel out the form. Alright, going back into the teeth. As you can tell, I'm kind of all over the place sometimes with this. I'm going back into the teeth, trying to just clear things out. I'm trying to clear. At this point, I'm just trying to clear the picture. You know, it's kind of a fuzzy image in my head, and I'm just going into whatever I find that's fuzzy and straightening it out, putting in more detail. I'm not really happy with this hand, but I'm going into it further and further. Continuing to zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. Laying down that gradation from the top. It's going to be like a slight, you know, it's going to go from darker to gradually go down to lighter. And that makes the light shape pop out when I put in the hat. If I didn't have that gradation there, it wouldn't be able to pop. Going to the kind of the swords a little more, kind of putting in like a small, like vague indication of the background. Putting in more, make it seem more like water or smoke kind of feel. I'm not really sure what he's standing in. Going back in, shading out the hands. Continuing to shape out the hands. Alright. Kind of messing around. I'm also you can use your own hand as reference too. Just kind of look at it and see what's going on with it. Trying to I made the forearm a little bigger because I thought it'd be coming at the screen, so I figured it'd be getting a little larger as it came. Continuing to mess with different shapes. Trying to make that look more like a sword, kind of a sword silhouette. And continuing. And that's the end. Thanks a lot, guys, and please hang out and check out my video, and please subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and thanks a lot.